Hello, everyone. This is Dawn Takacs. I'm coming to you from downtown Pittsburgh. This podcast is The Point. And today I have a good friend and fellow member of Pittsburgh Brides with me, Sarah Barlow. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks, Dawn. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited we were able to do this.
Myself as well. Can you tell everyone what you do? Because you have a great job.
Yeah.
I want you.
Well, and half the days I'm like, is this a job? Because this is a lot of fun. But no, I have been in the travel industry since 2018 after a very expansive career in insurance sales, believe it or not. And I kind of stumbled upon the travel industry and was asked to be a travel agent. In my head, I kind of thought, is this a dinosaur industry? Are travel agents still a thing? And I was pleasantly surprised throughout. It was late 2018 when I started. So throughout 2018 and then 2019, of course, they are very much a thing. And it's really providing, concierge services and that extra care that a lot of clients are looking for now. So, I am the agency owner here, and in 2020, believe it or not, we went fully independent here. So I have had this agency fully independent since 2020. We have a team of agents that span across the United States. So we are small but mighty is what I like to say. And we are a growing agency as well. So we mainly specialize in honeymoons, family trips, all-inclusive vacations, adult getaways, cruises, and things like that in the Mexico and Caribbean areas. So little bit of everything.
And the name of your business is Design Your Travel, and you are listed on Pittsburgh Brides. I know that you've been with us for a very long time, yes?
Yeah. So Design Our Travel was kind of a name that I came up with in the middle of the night when I was sleeping, and it was kind of random. And people sometimes will say, how did you come up with that name? And I just really stand behind the thought of we're not just. Because travel agents kind of became travel advisors, you'll hear a lot of people talk about. I went kind of a step beyond that, and I call our little team travel designers. So Design Our Travel is kind of a play on travel designers for us here. And it's stuck. It's stuck. We were actually trademarked and everything. So we are solid with our name.
I love the mantra. I love it. So, and I know that you're also offering something special for our Pittsburgh brides, right? Yeah. Tell them all about that before we get into some of these questions that I have for you.
Yes. And kind of thinking about what can I do here that's special for the Pittsburgh bride community, because I know we're going to touch on this a little bit, but it is something that is very near and dear to my heart is this community. And I was super excited when you asked me to be a part of it, because when I first started in the industry back in 2018 as a baby travel advisor, I had no idea where to even start. And I kind of stumbled upon your group in Facebook. And I know I've told you this story before, but you and your group was basically the launch of my success in late 2018 and all of 2019. Huge kudos to you. Thank you so much for opening that door for me. It was a huge opportunity. And I think last time I talked to you about this, I cried. So I'm doing better this time.
I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry either. But, I believe that as women, it's our mission when we're business owners and entrepreneurs to do everything that we can to pave the way for other entrepreneurs. And like when you told me the story, when you first shared it with me, I did cry because I was like, that means so much more to me than anything. So thank you for sharing that with me and with others. And just recently you told me you just had 2 leads come in this week from Pittsburgh Brides.
Yes, I did. I messaged you right away. I'm like, just had 2 more come in. Thank you so much. But yeah, and here's the thing with your group too, is I love that you vet the businesses that are part of the community, because that is so important right now. Yeah. There are a lot of people that dabble in all of these industries. And I think it's important to really vet the professionals, because if we are the faces of these specific industries in front of your group, we want to make sure that we are going to provide them stellar service and our experience. And I can't say enough about the others that are in my niche, in the travel niche on your website. Definitely love everyone there. So
yeah, there's camaraderie there. I know that. And that's one of the things I think that's wonderful about the platform, that we do have that with each other and we can turn to each other, even if we're in the same niche, right?
Yeah. It's important. Community over competition.
Always. And women empowerment. That's super important as well. Mm-hmm. So I have I'm going to ask you some questions that I think most brides would ask you. What is a honeymoon and why does it still matter?
So, we kind of got into this little bit of I don't want to call it a pivot, but I saw it and it kind of happened right after COVID. So I don't know if maybe that had something to do with it or not, but people were starting to delay their honeymoons, and we would start doing them as instead first anniversary trips, second anniversary trips, instead of having that main honeymoon, but right after the wedding. We're still seeing some delayed honeymoons, and this kind of gets into kind of what I think a honeymoon is. You need that time with your partner to decompress and really start your journey together before diving into life. Because what we've seen happen is, let's say you want to wait 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. I've seen we're taking that delayed honeymoon. Life happens. Kids may come into the picture. Jobs may become a more elevated thing in your life. A mortgage, if you're looking to have home ownership under your belt. So we start to kind of see all these things happen. So a delayed honeymoon, yes, we still see those and we can definitely do them. But I am starting to see the trend come back where the honeymoon is immediately after the wedding. I do always say, though, that if your wedding is on a Saturday, do not leave for your honeymoon the next day. Because a lot of times, especially out of Pittsburgh, these international flights are very early in the morning. And if you're enjoying your evening into the night and with your guests and at the reception, you don't want to wake up 2 hours later and rush to the airport. So it sounds like a dream to leave for your honeymoon the next day, but I always tell my couples to pause with that and let's look at Monday.
Yeah. Take a breath, breathe, a pause.
Yeah. Don't rush it. Yeah.
Such great advice that you offered too on the immediate need of the focus of the couple and just the two of them, as opposed to that delayed, because you're right. Yeah. Life will get in the way. Things will start to, before you know it, you've got a couple kids, a couple dogs, you're buying a house, you're moving out, whatever. Yeah. And you're so busy focusing on the wedding and planning the wedding that you don't really even get the time together at the wedding that you thought that you would.
And it goes so fast.
Yeah. It's this
Take
time.
That time and decompress. Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. Where do most local couples choose to go on a honeymoon if they're flying out of Pittsburgh?
And I think each of us within the travel niche in the Pittsburgh Bride site, I think we all offer a little something different. So I know Europe, Greece, those have been some heavy hitters. We truthfully don't do them here in our agency. Reason being is that I enjoy sun and fun. So I myself love the all-inclusives, Mexico, Caribbean. But we have seen an uptick locally of people requesting Greece and also requesting different European destinations. So whenever we do have someone reach out for that, I do have a fellow colleague that I always refer those clients out to. So you're still in good hands. But, all-inclusives are still happening. A lot of people just want to put their feet up. They want to relax. They don't want to worry about what's for dinner. They don't want to worry about laundry. They don't want to worry about making any decisions. Yeah. They just want to have their feet up. And that's where, if I hear kind of our couples start talking like that, I'm like, oh, these guys need a butler because they need butler service and they need just hand and foot waited on the whole entire time and to really elevate that experience for them on their honeymoon. But like with all of our requests that come in, I really take the time, again, why I call us designers, is you have to truly customize based on what the clients are looking for, what's going to best fit their personality, because they can tell me they want to go to the Caribbean for their honeymoon. That can be hundreds of different things that we can offer them. So I do go over like a step-by-step. I call it my little customization inquiry form, where I get to know my couples on a personal basis. I'm still friends with a lot of them today, and we keep in touch because you're going to be working with this person for probably the next 6 to 12 months, depending on how early you are wanting to book your travels. Really getting to know the couples and taking the time to customize exactly what they're looking for. All-inclusives are still hitting the spot.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than, laying on the beach with a drink with an umbrella and your toes are in the sand and all you want is somebody to tap you and say you need to turn over. That's the life.
Here's your drink.
And here's your drink. Yeah, here's some chips and guacamole for you.
Yeah.
I love that vibe personally. And so tell me, I'm going to dabble into like price points for couples to fly into. Give me a couple destinations in the Caribbean that are popular and what they're looking at for a stay.
So one of my favorite topics to talk about, because a lot of people that are in the Pittsburgh area don't realize that, yes, we still offer nonstop flights to both Cancun area and Punta Cana. So I would say in that order, Cancun, Punta Cana are two of our heaviest hitters.
Okay.
And I tell people too, especially if we're having the Mexico conversation, Mexico is how you do it. Always trust a trusted travel professional to help you wherever you go. But knowing the different resorts, I personally have been to over 150 properties, whether that's to meet with their sales teams, meet with the wedding departments, meet with just whoever's on site and develop those contacts. It's super important, I think. And then also to actually tour the property. And I always say, if I'm not going to stay there, I'm not going to send my clients. So we're very picky. We do tend to fall like bougie on a budget sometimes. And then we also do luxury styled honeymoons as well. So in that order, Cancun, Punta Cana, Jamaica are going to be your 1, 2, and 3 lowest cost. And then, like I said, with Mexico and Punta Cana, we offer the nonstop flights, which are huge. You don't understand how many times I get the response from a bride saying, my future husband has never left the country, or he doesn't want to fly, or he doesn't really even want to go. So how can we make this easier for him? And they love the nonstop flights because there's no layovers. You don't have to worry about anything like that. Beyond those 3 destinations, I like to call them my exotic islands. So popular ones out of Pittsburgh, still Aruba, near and dear to my heart. I hope to retire there someday. I'm actually headed back there for my 6th trip in 2 weeks. So taking the family again. So I absolutely adore that destination. People love Aruba, especially people out of Pittsburgh, because they feel like they don't have to stay on resort. They're free to walk around, do any excursions, activities they want, dine outside of the resort. So you're kind of not just resort bound whenever you do Aruba. And then, of course, St. Lucia still, I mean, this is probably the 4th or 5th year that I've noticed that St. Lucia is still a really big request. And actually, St. Lucia was the 2 that I just helped from Pittsburgh Brides. So they're both going to St. Lucia. So it's definitely very popular.
That's the Virgin Islands, correct? Is that U.S.?
No, it's not. So U.S. territories, you're going to have your, obviously your Puerto Rico, and then like your this is where I always get them mixed up. St. Martin, St. Thomas. Where you get into the more exotics, it's going to be more of like the Antilles, it's the Leeward, it's all kinds of different strains of islands throughout there. But we do U.S. destination honeymoons, like the whole Puerto Rico and, the Virgin Islands. But a lot of times, if somebody doesn't want to get a passport, a lot of times what we'll do, because you need a passport to travel internationally and not a passport card. It's got to be a passport book. I get that question a lot. But a cruise is perfect. And we are cruise specialists as well. I have somebody here on my team that is a specialist in cruising. And you can cruise as long as it's a closed loop cruise. You can cruise without a passport. We advise you to have a passport in case something should happen and you need to utilize it. But if you're against it or if you don't want to do it, a closed loop cruise is your best friend. And we do a lot of those honeymoons as well.
Very, very interesting. I personally have been to Jamaica at least a dozen times through the years. I've been to Negril, I've been to Ocho Rios, I've done the Martha Ray, the river raft ride on a bit. There's nothing like it in the world. Like you're on a raft going down a tropical rainforest and somebody with a pole is just pushing you down, and
it's so pretty.
It's silence and it's amazing. And they're just so hospitable. What a great, always had a great experience there.
Yeah.
Great vibe there.
Yeah.
I remember the young Jamaican boy, toddlers, like 4 or 5 years old. My lady, would you like a coconut? And they would just shimmy up the tree and bring you a coconut. Just such a very charming culture. And I haven't been to Aruba, but you and I are going to have to talk.
Oh, I love it. I do. And our agency, we always believe in giving something back to the places we send our clients to. So we actually have, it's called the Helping Hands of DOT, Design Our Travel. And one of the nonprofits that we help is the Aruban Kanuku dog rescues in Aruba. I actually I'm now the mommy of 2 of them. So one's 3 and one's 1. If you hear little ones barking, that's who they are. But so every year we collect supplies, we drop off food, we volunteer our time. And I love the fact that you can give back in a lot of our destinations. And I've seen an uptick with some of our couples too, asking to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Where can we donate our time? Is there a school? Maybe they're teachers and they want to visit a school in Jamaica. Yeah. So it's definitely near and dear to my heart too, kind of giving back, because those locations provide some of the best memories to our clients, and just to give something back to them any way we can, we love to do it.
Agree 100%. And it also becomes part of the experience where it's not just the typical tourist experience. If you go on some of those excursions and step a little bit outside of the box, I would agree with that. Would love to embrace that concept. Okay, I have a few other questions for you. I'm looking at my list. And okay. Overwhelming. A wedding can be incredibly emotional, overwhelming, saturating. Like it's almost 2 full-time jobs for most women. And then you throw into it that you're planning a honeymoon. How do you alleviate that for them? How can you help them with that process?
Well, whenever we're talking to couples, a lot of the times we're finding that they're super overwhelmed or they just don't have the time between their full-time job, planning a wedding. So we find that they get very overwhelmed because they're Googling where they maybe want to go and a million things are coming up.
Yeah.
They can look at beautiful videos and photos of the resort they might like, but then they arrive and it's like, this isn't kind of what we saw. So having someone like myself and like a lot of other of my travel agent colleagues as well, we personally do go to these properties, like I mentioned before, because seeing them in person, wanting to return back ourselves, they're now going to be a preferred resort partner in my book. So taking that off the couple's plates and giving them back that time to focus on whether that be wedding things, life things, or just a breather. Time and time again, when we get testimonials back when our honeymooners return, most of them say always the same thing, where it's, you made this so easy for us. We wouldn't have even known where to start. Your recommendations, you nailed it on the head. Like I had a bride reach out to me and she was actually, a honeymoon couple that I think were originally from the Pittsburgh Bride site back in 2019. And she just reached out to me a couple weeks ago and she said, we really just want to copy paste. I'm like, copy paste? Like I've never heard that before. I was like, tell me more. And she's like, everything. I just want to duplicate it and do it all over again. And I'm like, wow. And I kind of thought to myself, that is one of the best compliments I've ever gotten is, can you just copy paste? And that's how I want my couples to feel. Like, you have enough going on. Let me take that off your shoulders. And how we do it here and how I've trained my staff to do it as well is during that first initial inquiry process, we do learn a lot about the couple and kind of their desires, and also kind of like more of the hardline things too, like where have you been before? What is your budget? What are your dates? Are you flexible? Things like that. But we take that first round, that first proposal, and we offer them 3 ideas. They might be 3 different destinations. They might be the same destination with different resorts. But we've learned that by hiring us, we don't want to overwhelm you either, right? So we take it in stages. And I always tell my couples, it's like, let's steer the ship. It helps me steer the ship as to really customizing and drawing it down. We then take that first proposal and I'm like, I want you to be honest. What do you love? What did you not like? What are you like? That, Sarah, absolutely not. That's hard stop. And maybe there's something in there that's like, I never would have thought of that. Can you show me more things that are like that? And then we take it into like the second proposal where we really start dialing it in and customizing it where, folks out there that don't travel all the time and really want this trip to be special, you need that experience and you need that customization. You don't want to just, and I'm not, I think a lot of travel advisors work like this now based on that customizing. Gone are the days where something should hit somebody's desk and say, oh, we're just going to send them there. No, it is a consultative process and it's really a way to essentially get a copy paste when it's all said and done.
I like that. And because there's so many different destinations and so many opportunities, having someone that has toured and visited and has made contact with the staff and knows how they interact, and you've got the full experience that you can share and you can fine tune that to their personalities as well. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh, definitely. Fine tuning and customizing is the best thing we can offer clients. The second best thing we can offer is exactly what you said. Going to these properties, meeting the staff that your clients are going to be interacting with. So should a problem arise while you're in destination, we know who to call. We have the contacts under our belt. And we here at this agency, we even offer a 24/7 emergency hotline if you ever have any problems traveling. Because if you get to the airport and it's 2 a.m., if you booked your trip on Expedia, they're not answering the phone.
Right.
But I will because we have that number and we give it to our clients, and then we can connect and make sure, everybody's on the right track and keep you moving to where you're going. So
assist with that.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to see what other questions I have on my list. I'm sorry. I have to read my list to make sure I want to cover everything. How do we elevate? Let's talk a little bit more about that. When you are doing that customization and you're trying to pinpoint that for them, and you mentioned it earlier, I would like to kind of segue a little bit back to that. How do you elevate the experience for them?
This is a trend we're seeing, and, I'm a millennial, so I want this. And then I know our Gen Zers are wanting this, the elder Gen Zers that we're starting to see, have honeymoons and things like that. They're wanting that more elevated experience. So during that customization, let's just say we've dialed it down to the second proposal where we've really narrowed it down to 3 different options. We then take those 3 options and I'm like, which 1 or 2 of those really is nailing it for you? And then what I do when they tell me what those are is I then will ask them additional questions about room options. So with your room, are you wanting to be able to swim out into the main pool? Are you wanting an ocean view? And you know what mine is? Are you wanting room service available 24/7? So you can have your mimosa in the morning with your breakfast and eat your breakfast on your balcony overlooking the ocean. Yes. And that's where we get into the elevated, because you're not unless you travel all the time, you're not going to know these things and you're not even going to think of them until I bring them up. And you're like, wow, yeah, I could see my mornings being like that. Another way we elevate experiences is maybe you want your spa appointments pre-booked. Maybe you want to do certain excursions that are offered on the island.
Right.
And we set those up for you ahead of time.
Yeah.
Maybe you want a romantic dinner on the beach or maybe you want that butler level experience, which again it's amazing. And maybe you're really wanting that and you can have dinner on the beach all week long. It's just really what you're wanting at that point, and a way for us to really customize it to our couple. So no two honeymoons ever look the same.
I have to share this story because it's just such an amazing about that butler experience. So one of my first trips to Jamaica was at a little place called the Honeycomb, and they only had 8 little villas. It's no longer there, but it was right outside of Ocho Rios, right on the water, had a big cliff that, the ocean is right there. And we were having dinner in the gazebo at the Honeycomb. And this very tall Rastafarian Jamaican, we had ordered lobster. And he's like, "You ordered lobster?" And we're like, "Yeah, we ordered lobster." He walked over to the cliff and he dove straight into the water. And we ran over to the cliff and we're like,
"Is he okay?
Is he okay? He's been down there a long time." And then just as you know it, he comes busting out of the water and he has a lobster in each hand.
Oh my
And
God,
it
that's fresh.
I was like 18 or 19 years old. I think I was 19, maybe 20. And I was like, holy cow, like he was down there for, I'm going to say at least a minute, maybe longer, maybe a minute and a half, where we were like starting to go into panic mode. But it's something I'm never going to forget again because of the experience. Now they could have had a cage down there and had lobsters caged down there for the
You don't need to know that. Yeah.
Years later, I thought about that. I was like, how did that work? But, it was the experience and the wow factor. And it, what you said about that butler service and we're going to take care of this for you. And that was one of the things I loved about staying there when we were there. No longer there, the Honeycomb, but just 8 little villas. And it was so personalized, everything. I'd like to do that again, maybe in Aruba. You could hook me up.
There you go. I love that.
And so, all right. So I know that you are also a destination wedding planner. Can we talk about that just a little bit and how you could help with that?
Yeah. So, sometimes I talk to couples and they just decide, hey, for our wedding, we would rather go to an all-inclusive and we want to get married. We want to maybe just go ourselves. We maybe want to take a couple immediate family members, a couple close friends, or maybe you want to just do the whole thing. It's a big old party in the Caribbean or Mexico. So yes, we offer those. I've been doing destination weddings now for 4 years. And again, not all are the same because there are a lot of elopements. It does depend on where you want to get married. A lot of times I do tell our couples that are interested in a destination wedding. A lot of times it's easier to get married and let's just say maybe a courthouse ceremony here in the US. And then we can do a ceremony, cocktail hour, reception in the Caribbean. It just kind of keeps it a little bit more cleaner with documentation. We can get couples married in the Caribbean and Mexico. It just is a few more steps depending on the destination. And then we also just the last 2 years started offering planning services because we saw a need. We used to just do the resort research, allow the bride to, a warm intro to the wedding team on site. We would do all of the room block for the guests. We take care of all the guest travel and things like that. Again, taking a lot off the couple's shoulders. But we saw a need for planning as well. So we did start offering planning 2 years ago now. It'll be 2 years this fall. And it's made a huge difference for people as well, because a lot of times when you are interested in a destination wedding, you need somebody in your pocket that's not just the resort staff, because the resort staff works for the resort. They don't work for you. I work for you. So you are my number one. I am in your corner. Along the way, we also offer where I actually accompany the couples to the destination. I'm there day of. So there's a couple different service levels we offer. Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
exciting.
no, and we just had this conversation, and I'm going to plug in. We just did a podcast about wedding planner versus venue coordinator. With all due
Yeah,
respect, we have amazing venue coordinators in the city of Pittsburgh, but the
yeah,
responsibilities are completely different. And the wedding planner
yeah.
at the end of the day is your advocate. And we just did a podcast on that. I'm going to pop that in there. If you're on the shelf if you're getting married locally, whether you have a venue coordinator and you're not sure you need a wedding planner, you should at least do yourself the justice of watching that podcast, because there's some things that people never think of. And if you're doing a destination wedding, you don't know, like, the florist, the baker,
Mm-hmm.
the food. Even the food, I would think, would be something
Yeah,
that would be critical in the planning process, right?
yeah,
And what
it is.
destination
Mm-hmm.
location that you're choosing, and is the
Yeah,
beach good for a beachside wedding or on a cliff, and all of those things.
yeah,
You're the person for that, right?
yeah, yeah. Because a lot of couples, although destination weddings on resort are still very popular, a lot of couples are starting to want to go off-site for their wedding, but still have the room block at the resort for them and their guests. So knowing these third-party suppliers, like you said, the floral, catering, bartending, DJs. I have spent countless hours in destinations that I sell destination weddings to, meeting with these third-party suppliers, because you planning it yourself, you wouldn't even know where to start with that. I mean, there's a ton of stuff
Yeah.
online or Instagram especially, but knowing and vetting again, and
Yeah.
knowing if it were me, this is who I would hire. Those are
Yeah.
our preferred vendors. They have been
Yeah.
tried and tested and true. So
Yeah.
it's important to have, again, that expertise of having someone help you in the background.
Sure, sure. And if I could go back 20 years ago, I would have done the destination. I would have spent
Yeah.
all of the money on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not on the reception. I know it's so important to have that big reception for some people, but for
Yeah.
me, I'd be like, I love you, family. I'm headed out. Like,
Yeah.
I want this time. I want to spend all my money and all my time with the love of my life for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
To me, that
Yeah.
would be my choice. And it may be the choice for many of our Pittsburgh brides. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
life is short, and you only get hopefully one time around on this, and
Mhm.
you want to make it unforgettable.
Yeah.
So you've covered so much in this short podcast. I thank you so much for your time. I want to
Sure.
ask, how do couples choose the right travel advisor for
Yeah.
them, for their
Yeah.
needs?
So there are a lot out there. And, we saw a trend after COVID happened, to where a lot of travel agencies were popping up. And it's important as a consumer to know who you're working with. We're an independent travel agency, so it allows us kind of that freedom to run our business how we want to, although we're still backed by various companies. Then you have more of the hosted travel agencies, which are still great. They can be hosted under much larger travel agencies, not independent, but
Yeah.
we call them hosted. And then our friends that came after COVID, it kind of resemble a little bit of the MLM industry. So it's very, very important that you vet whoever you're working with. Look at their website. Do they have one? Does it look like it's professional? Do they have a social media? Have they posted on it this week? And what kind of social media do they have beyond Instagram? Do they have, we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube. We kind of try and cover all bases because different people are on different platforms. What is their communication like? So many times I get couples complain and travelers complain, we reached out to X, Y, and Z and nobody ever responded to us. So
Yeah.
Are you getting that response? Because if you're not getting that response now,
Right.
what if you have a problem when you're actually
Right.
in destination? So really just vet and talk to various, if you're interested in honeymoons or destination weddings, really talk to a handful and just think about it. You are going to probably be working with this person for the next, if it's
Sure.
a destination wedding, up to 2 years probably. So 6 to 12 months for a honeymoon. You want to make sure that you vibe well with that person too.
Agree, 100%. And I think that goes across the board with all of your vendors. I think it's really important in this day and age that you have a face of who you're doing business with and you have a conversation. I think the days of doing things digitally, 100% digitally, are long gone, because unfortunately, there are bad actors and there are scammers, and even in every business and every category. And, if you can't get a response within a reasonable amount of time from anyone that you're going to choose to give your hard-earned money to for your wedding, then that should make you take pause. Like, I understand we work weddings on Fridays and Saturdays, but if you can't send a 30-second email and say, acknowledgement of receipt, I'll get back to you on Monday. Acknowledgement of receipt, I'll get back to you Tuesday. I take Mondays off, that sort of thing. That's the difference between maybe a side gig worker, or maybe even worse than I don't want to say worse than that. That's a bad term. A side gig worker, or a hobbyist, or just flat out fraud. Like, I'm going to call it, there is fraud out there. And unfortunately, I'm seeing more and more of it. So protect your budget, it's your family, it's your obligation. You're a wife or a husband soon. It's your responsibility to do your due diligence. And even if someone refers you, even if you find your vendors on pittsburghbrides.com, you should still get some referrals. What's wrong with that? You would be willing to give some emails up of people that you just helped if the couples asked. And I think that's the best resource that you can go to get the information that you need. Can you give me some couples that just came home from their honeymoon that I could talk to that can tell me a little bit more? And some couples will be okay with that and some will not. But it's important, circling back to, it's your responsibility. Do your due diligence. Make sure you know the face of the brand, that you have these conversations, and that you feel comfortable. Listen to your intuition. It tells you everything that you need to know. That's my biggest caveat. Like, if your gut feels something's wrong, don't ignore it. Roll with it. Go with it. Say thank you very much and move on. Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. I am so happy to have you on this podcast. I know that we will probably do another one later on down the road. Maybe we can dabble into that destination wedding conversation a little bit more. And maybe you can visit with me from some remote location.
Oh, like Aruba?
Like Aruba? We can do this, and you can have the beach, and the water behind, and
coming to you live
coming to you live from Aruba. And you could be going down the checklist of all the fun things you did that day that they could include in their honeymoon. I think they would love that. And with that said, I am going to sign off. This is Dawn from Pittsburgh Brides. If you would like to find Sarah, you can find her at pittsburghbrides.com. Go to travel, look for Design Your Travel. Sarah, how else can they find you?
Yeah, definitely our website. It's designourtravel.com. And then also Design Our Travel on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. We're everywhere.
And I might have said that incorrectly. It's Design Our Travel, not Design Your Travel. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. My bad. My bad. So if you want to visit Sarah, if you want to have a conversation with Sarah about your honeymoon, you can go to Design Our Travel at pittsburghbrides.com. And she also gave you information where you can find her directly at designourtravel.com. Designourtravel.com. All right, folks, thank you so much. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this sunny day in Pittsburgh. Sarah, it's been a pleasure working with you through the years.
You too.
And thank you for sharing this information with the brides.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.